The night air is heavy with incense and salt from the sea. Alexandria does not sleep. Lamps flicker on marble streets. Merchants argue in Greek, sailors sing in Egyptian, and scholars whisper in the vast halls of the library. Somewhere beyond the noise of the city, a child breathes her first. Her name is Cleopatra. It is 69 BCE, and Egypt stands at a crossroads. The Ptolemaic dynasty, Greek rulers descended from Alexander the Great's general Ptolemy I, has worn the double crown of Egypt for nearly 3 centuries. But though they sit on Pharaoh's throne, the blood of the Nile is not in their veins. They rule as foreigners in a land that remembers its gods, its priests and its pharaohs, older than the pyramids. From the moment you can walk, you feel the tension of living between 2 worlds. In the palace, courtiers speak Greek, quoting Homer and Plato. Beyond the palace walls, farmers chant prayers to Isis and Osiris, gods older than time itself. Other Ptolemies ignored this divide, but not you. You lean forward when the priests speak. You echo their words until their language flows easily from your tongue. Where others are content to reign as strangers, you choose to become Egyptian. Your father, Ptolemy XIII, mocked as Orleats, the flute player, loves music more than politics. His reign is unstable, propped up by bribes to Roman senators. To keep his throne, he empties Egypt's treasury into Roman pockets. He believes Rome's friendship can be bought. But what you learn watching from the shadows is something sharper. Rome does not have friends. Rome has clients. Your childhood is filled with lessons, and not only of politics. You study rhetoric until your tongue is as sharp as any soldier's blade. You learn to speak not only Greek and Egyptian, but also Hebrew, Aramaic, and even Latin. Few rulers in history will command such a gift, the power to step into the thoughts of many nations simply by speaking their words. You also study the sciences, astronomy, medicine, philosophy. The priests show you how the Nile's floods can be predicted by stars. Scholars teach you to measure the earth. Physicians reveal the secrets of healing plants. Knowledge becomes your greatest armor. But Egypt is restless. When the Nile floods fail, hunger stalks the land. When your father raises taxes to pay Rome, the people whisper rebellion. And when Rome itself fractures into civil wars, Egypt's throne wobbles with it. You watch your father flee into exile, then return only because Rome restores him. An emperor of sand held up by foreign soldiers. You are 12 years old when you see him beg before Rome. 12 when you see him kiss the hands of men who laugh at him. That is the moment you swear never to kneel. If Egypt must bend, then it will bend to you, not to Rome. Years pass. The palace grows colder. Courtiers choose sides. Whispers gather like storms. You are 18 when the crown falls into your lap. Your father is dead. In his will, he leaves Egypt to you and your 10-year-old brother, Ptolemy III. Tradition demands you rule together, but tradition also demands siblings marry to preserve the dynasty. You, a woman grown, are tied to a child, yet you know better than to weep. Dynasties are cages. You must learn how to bend their bars. For a time you try to share power. You appear with your brother on coins, your faces side by side. But the real power lies with his advisors, men who despise you, men who whisper that a woman cannot rule, men who see Rome's shadow falling long across the desert sands. Soon their whispers become commands. Decrees go out in your brother's name alone. Your image is erased. Your authority dissolves. You do not bow. You fight. But your brother's men move faster. One night you are stripped of your throne. Forced to flee, you gather a handful of loyal followers and ride east, across the burning sands, into Syria. Alexandria fades behind you like a mirage. You are only 18, exiled from your own kingdom. Yet in exile something awakens. Anger, yes, but also clarity. Egypt is not merely a throne, not merely a crown or a palace. Egypt is the Nile, the land, the people. Egypt flows in your veins more truly than in your father's flute or your brother's regency. You are not just a queen without a throne. You are Egypt itself waiting to strike back. You do not know it yet, but destiny is moving toward you. Across the sea in Rome, Julius Caesar has crossed the Rubicon. He marches east, his eyes on Egypt, not for its beauty, but for its grain, its ships, its gold. Soon his sails will appear on your horizon. Soon your exile will end. Soon you will gamble everything. Your throne, your body, your legacy on the most dangerous alliance of your life. The desert does not forgive weakness. The sands of Syria scorch your feet as you stand with only a handful of loyal soldiers and servants, gazing back toward the west. Alexandria, the city of your birth, the city of your throne, is lost to you. Behind its marble walls, your brother's guardians rule in his name, stamping your face from coins, erasing your authority, declaring you a traitor. You are 18 years old, stripped of power, stripped of wealth, but not stripped of will. In exile, you learn who remains when fortune flees. A few generals, some priests, merchants still loyal to your father's debts, all gather around you. They are not enough to storm Alexandria, not enough to face your brother's armies. Yet you bide your time. Power, you have learned, is not only held in armies, but in alliances. And far to the west, in Rome, storms rage louder than those on the Nile. Julius Caesar has defeated Pompey at Pharsalus. The Roman Republic itself groans under civil war. And Pompey, desperate, broken, flees across the sea. Where does he land? Egypt. Your brother's advisors, hungry to impress Caesar, greet Pompey not with honor but with betrayal. On the shores of Pelusium, as his wife and son watch from their ship, Pompey is stabbed and beheaded. His severed head is sent to Caesar as a gift. But Rome is not so simple. When Caesar arrives in Alexandria and sees Pompey's lifeless head, he does not smile. He is disgusted. He is furious. To him, Egypt is not loyal. Egypt is a vulture. This is your moment. In the darkness of night, you slip back toward Alexandria. The palace is guarded. Your brother's men would never let you pass. But you are not a woman who accepts walls. History will remember the tale. You, Cleopatra, hidden inside a rolled carpet, smuggled through the palace gates by your servant Apollodorus. The bundle is carried into Caesar's chambers. The guards laugh at the absurd delivery, never imagining that inside lies a queen. And then when the cloth is unrolled, you rise before Caesar. Brilliant, unafraid, unveiled like a goddess emerging from the Nile. You speak to him not as a beggar, not as a girl, but as a queen who has been wronged. You do not plead, you persuade. You know his pride, his ambition. You offer him more than tears. You offer him Egypt itself. With you restored, Caesar gains not just a queen, but a kingdom rich in grain, gold, and ships. Caesar listens, and Caesar agrees. But your brother's advisors are not fools. They see the danger. Soon, Alexandria erupts in civil war. Streets once filled with scholars and merchants echo with the clash of swords. Fires lick at the walls of the great library. Blood runs between the stones of the agora. For months, Caesar and his legionaries fight alongside you against Ptolemy III and his forces. The Nile itself becomes a battlefield. On its waters, ships burn. On its banks, soldiers fall. The city starves under siege, yet in chaos you are calm. You walk among your people, speaking to them in their own tongue, promising protection. Where your brother hides behind his generals, you stand before your soldiers and they follow. To them, you are not only queen but protector, mother, Pharaoh in truth. The war reaches its climax at the Battle of the Nile. There, amid fire and shouting, your brother's army is crushed. Ptolemy III flees but drowns in the river he sought to command. The boy king, swollen by water, is swallowed by the Nile's depths. When the smoke clears, Caesar is victorious, and so are you. Alexandria kneels again before Cleopatra. You are 21 years old, but victory brings consequences. Rome does not give without taking. You are restored to the throne, but Rome now holds the strings. Caesar insists you rule with your younger brother, Ptolemy XIV. He insists Egypt remain bound to Rome. Yet you know how to play this game. You smile, you agree, but within your palace walls you weave your own destiny. For soon your bond with Caesar grows closer than politics. The world will whisper scandal. They will call you seductress, enchantress, witch. But you know the truth. You did not conquer Caesar with beauty alone. You conquered him with intellect, with wit, with the promise of Egypt's loyalty. From this union a child is born, Caesarion, little Caesar. In him you see the union of Rome and Egypt, of two worlds colliding. To the people of the Nile he is divine, son of Isis. To Rome he is a shadow on their republic, a reminder that Caesar's blood may flow in foreign veins. But for now you hold him in your arms, and know that your dynasty has not only survived, it has grown stronger. The war is over. You sit upon the throne once more, the double crown upon your head, your brother king beside you, your infant son in your embrace. Outside, the Nile flows calmly again, its floods promising life after famine. Yet deep within you, you know peace is an illusion. Rome does not forget. Rome does not forgive. And Caesar, your ally, your lover, has enemies sharper than any blade of Egypt. For already daggers are being sharpened in the Senate of Rome, and the blood they seek is his. The palace smells of cedar and myrrh. Outside, Alexandria breathes again, its streets alive with merchants, its temples filled with prayers. But inside, the world has shifted. Caesar remains. The conqueror of Gaul, the master of Rome, lingers not as an overlord, but as an ally. And beside him, you, Cleopatra, sit upon your throne, more secure than ever before. Whispers ripple through Egypt. Some say you bewitched him, that your beauty chained the greatest general of the age. Others know better. They saw how you stood before soldiers, how you spoke in the people's tongue, how you wove the Nile's rhythm into your very voice. Caesar may have brought his legions, but you gave him a reason to stay. From your union comes a child, Ptolemy Caesar, whom you name Caesarion, Little Caesar. In your arms you cradle not only a son, but a symbol, a bridge between empires. To your people, he is Horus reborn, son of Isis, divine by blood. To Rome, he is dangerous, proof that Caesar has sired a dynasty outside their republic. Caesar does not hide you. He does not whisper your name in shadows. Instead, he honors you openly. He invites you to Rome. And so you leave the Nile, sailing across the Mediterranean, your ships heavy with gifts, your heart steady with ambition. When you arrive, Rome trembles. Senators and matrons whisper behind veils. They call you foreign queen, enchantress, a threat wrapped in silk. They see you in your golden barge, sails dyed purple, servants fanning you like a goddess. And though they spit their words, they cannot look away. You walk through Rome not as a captive, but as a sovereign. In Caesar's villa across the Tiber, you live with your son, Caesarion. Guests come to see you, curious and fearful. They say your presence offends Roman modesty. But beneath their scorn lies something deeper, envy. For Caesar builds a statue of you in the Temple of Venus, mother of Rome itself. He dares to place you, a foreign queen, among their gods. To Romans it is blasphemy. To you it is proof of power. Yet Rome is not Egypt. Here, politics is a nest of vipers. In the Senate, Caesar's enemies sharpen their knives with words. They mutter about tyranny, about monarchy, about kingship, a word Rome despises. And when they speak of monarchy, they glance toward you and your son. You see it clearly. They fear not only Caesar's rule, but also his legacy. A son, half Egyptian, heir to Rome? To them it is unthinkable. And then, one March morning, it happens. The Senate gathers. Caesar walks among men he calls friends. You are not there, but you will hear the story told 1,000 times. How daggers flashed, how senators swarmed, how Caesar fell beneath 23 wounds. Et tu, brute. The words echo through eternity. The Ides of March, 44 BCE. Julius Caesar is dead. In the villa, silence falls heavy as stone. You hold Caesarion close, the boy's small heartbeat quick against your chest. The city outside roars with chaos, crowds weeping, rioting, burning. But you, Cleopatra, feel something colder than grief, the ground beneath you cracking. In an instant your shield is gone. The man who restored your throne, who defied Rome to place you beside him, lies in blood on the Senate floor. And Rome itself fractures once more. Caesar's assassins flee, but his allies, Mark Antony, Octavian, Lepidus, move swiftly to claim his mantle. You do not wait to see how the storm breaks. With Caesarion you slip away. Across the sea you sail back to Alexandria, back to the Nile. Rome can devour itself. You will protect your kingdom. Yet you do not return defeated. No, you return wiser. You have seen the heart of Rome, and you know its secrets. Its power is vast, but its greed is greater. Its people worship strength but loathe kings. Its senators preach liberty while cutting throats in shadows. You understand now that Egypt's survival will never come from kneeling before Rome, but from playing Rome against itself. Back in your palace you rebuild. You rule beside your younger brother, Ptolemy XIV, though in truth, your word is law. Soon after, he dies. Some whisper poison, though your lips never confess. With him gone, only you and Caesarion remain. You place the boy's image upon the walls of temples, dress him in Pharaoh's crown, declare him divine son of Isis and Osiris. To Egypt, he is heir. To Rome, he is a reminder. But Rome does not rest. From across the sea, its civil wars spill over. Octavian, Caesar's adopted son, and Mark Antony, Caesar's loyal general, carve the republic into pieces. And both look to Egypt, rich with grain, for support. You stand again at the center of history's tide. You know the Nile cannot resist Rome forever. But you also know this. Rome is divided, and in division lies your power. One of these men, Antony or Octavian, will rule Rome. And whichever one does, you will make sure he cannot rule without you. The Nile floods again. Grain ripples like gold across the delta. The markets of Alexandria swell with traders, Phoenicians with purple dye, Nubians with ivory, Greeks with scrolls of philosophy. Yet in the heart of it all stands you, Cleopatra, no longer the young queen clinging to Caesar's shadow, but ruler in your own right. Rome burns with chaos. Civil wars divide its generals. Assassins scatter. Octavian and Mark Antony clash with speeches and swords. But here, under the Egyptian sun, you wear the double crown of Upper and Lower Egypt, and for the first time, your throne feels steady. You rule not as a foreigner, but as a pharaoh. Unlike your Ptolemaic ancestors, you do not hide behind Greek in marble halls. You walk among the temples of Isis, speak to priests in Egyptian, sacrifice at altars older than Alexander's dream. Your subjects do not whisper stranger when they see you. They call you Pharaoh. You know the people's love is not won by silk and crowns, but by survival. And so you turn your eyes to the Nile. You fund irrigation canals, granaries, and relief during famine. When Rome starves in its endless wars, Egypt thrives exporting grain that keeps entire provinces alive. Every ship that leaves Alexandria reminds the world, without Egypt, Rome hungers. Inside the palace, you rule with cunning. Your younger brother Ptolemy XIV is dead. Whether by fate or by design, the world may never know. But now only one heir stands beside you, your son, Caesarion. You carve his image into temple walls, a boy king blessed by the gods, son of Caesar, son of Isis. In him you weave together Egypt's past and Rome's future. Still, you know the truth. Egypt cannot stand alone forever. Rome watches always, its appetite never satisfied. And now 2 men hold its destiny. Octavian, Caesar's cold-eyed heir, and Mark Antony, Caesar's loyal general. Antony's reputation drifts across the sea like smoke. They call him Dionysus reborn, lover of wine, master of soldiers, bold, reckless, charming. He commands the eastern provinces, and with them, Egypt's fate. If you would preserve your kingdom, you must win his favor. But you do not rush to him, no, you wait, for you are Cleopatra, and you know that queens are not summoned, they summon. And so the stage is set in 41 BCE. Antony, hungry for Egypt's grain and gold, calls you to Tarsus. Many would tremble at such a command, but not you. You see the game for what it is. If Antony demands you appear, then you will appear, not as a petitioner, but as a goddess. The tale will echo for centuries. Your golden barge drifts up the Cydnus River, its sails dyed purple, the color of kings. Silver oars strike the water in rhythm. Musicians play flutes and lyres. Incense drifts into the air like clouds of heaven. You recline beneath a canopy of gold, dressed as Isis herself, your servants waving fans of white feathers. The people of Tarsus abandon their markets, their homes, their families, just to see you. They call out, Aphrodite, Isis, the goddess has come to earth. And Antony? He cannot look away. From the moment you step onto the riverbank, your fate and his are entwined. You do not kneel, you do not plead. You invite him to dine, not in his hall, but in yours. Surrounded by torches, perfumed air, and delicacies Rome cannot imagine, you dazzle him. He laughs, he drinks, he boasts, but even as his voice fills the hall, he knows the truth. He has been conquered. It is not seduction alone. Antony is a soldier, a man of action. What binds him to you is more than beauty. It is the promise of power. With your gold he can wage war. With your ships he can rule the seas. And with your alliance he can challenge Octavian himself. Back in Alexandria your bond deepens. Nights become feasts, days become councils of war. You speak to him as an equal, something Roman women cannot do. You debate politics, philosophy, the future of empires, and slowly, Antony begins to see not just a queen, not just a lover, but a partner. Your people too see the union. They welcome him not as conqueror but as consort. Festivals are held where you appear as Isis and he as Dionysus, gods joined together, blessing the Nile. In those moments the line between myth and reality blurs. You are not merely rulers, you are divine, but even gods cannot silence Rome's whispers. In the Senate, Octavian paints you as a sorceress, a temptress who chains Antony with foreign luxuries. He spreads word that Antony no longer belongs to Rome but to Egypt, to you. And for Rome there is no greater insult. Yet as the storm gathers you remain calm. For now Egypt thrives. The granaries are full, the temples alive, the people loyal. You have bound Antony to you, strengthened Caesarian's claim, and reminded the world that Egypt is no mere client. It is a kingdom that bends empires to its will. Still, deep inside, you know peace is fragile. Rome's hunger grows, and sooner or later, it will look once more to the Nile. But when it comes, you will not face it alone. You will face it with Antony at your side, and together, you will challenge Rome itself. Alexandria shimmers under the sun, but the city no longer sings. Its streets, once bursting with trade and laughter, echo with the tramp of soldiers and the murmurs of fear. Octavian has come, his legions press closer, his banners darken the horizon, and his fleet encircles the harbor like iron chains. Inside your palace, Cleopatra, you prepare as you always have, not with despair, but with resolve. You fill your treasury with firewood and torches, ready to burn your wealth rather than let Rome devour it. You surround yourself with loyal guards, your children hidden away in safety. And at your side is Antony, no longer the roaring lion of Rome, but a man broken. His pride, his laughter, his victories, all lie scattered like ashes after Actium. Yet when he looks at you, there is still fire in his eyes, a desperate ember clinging to love. The final battle comes swift. Alexandria's walls tremble under the assault. Legions pour through the gates. The harbor fills with smoke. Antony leads what men remain, charging into the fray with the fury of a man who has lost everything but his honor. But Rome is relentless. Octavian's legions crush resistance, and Antony, wounded and despairing, hears false word that you, Cleopatra, have already taken your life. Broken by grief, he falls upon his sword. His men find him bleeding, his strength fading. Yet before death claims him, he begs to be carried to you. In your chamber, you hold him as life drains from his body. His blood stains your hands, his voice falters. "Do not weep," he whispers. "I followed you to the end." And in that moment, even as Rome closes around you, Antony dies not as Octavian's enemy, but as your lover, your partner, your god. You are alone. Octavian strides into Alexandria, not as conqueror of a city, but of a queen. He does not rage, does not mock. He is colder than stone. He knows victory is his, but he also knows your name will echo louder than his if you choose your end. He orders you captured, watched, denied the dignity of a queen's death. He dreams of parading you through Rome in chains, a trophy for his triumph. But you are Cleopatra, you are Pharaoh, you are Isis on earth. You will not be dragged through the streets like a slave. In your final hours, you prepare yourself as carefully as for a coronation. You bathe in perfumes, robe yourself in royal linen, crown upon your head. You send Caesarion away, hoping, praying, that he might escape Octavian's reach. Though history will be cruel, Octavian's men will hunt him down, ending the line of pharaohs forever. And then, in a chamber sealed against Rome's gaze, you choose your destiny. A basket is brought, hidden beneath figs and flowers. Inside waits your companion, the asp, sacred serpent of Egypt, symbol of royalty and eternity. You lift it gently, its scales cold against your skin. To others it is death, to you it is freedom. You press it to your breast. Its fangs sink deep. The poison burns sharp at first, then slow, then strangely soft like falling into sleep. You lie back upon your golden couch, the world blurring, your pulse fading. Servants weep, but you do not. Your lips curl into a faint smile. For though Rome may take your crown, it cannot take your choice. When Octavian's soldiers burst in, they find you lifeless, robed as a goddess, serene in death. No chains, no humiliation, only silence heavy as eternity. The last pharaoh of Egypt is gone. But your story does not end. Rome swallows Egypt, turning it into a province, its temples looted, its wealth drained. Octavian proclaims himself Augustus, the first emperor, his triumph complete. Yet in every whisper of history, your name outshines his. For centuries, poets and chroniclers will argue, were you seductress or strategist, witch or queen, lover or tyrant? Rome paints you as dangerous, the East incarnate, a warning of foreign luxury. Yet beneath their slander, your truth survives. You were the queen who spoke a dozen tongues, who ruled as pharaoh in a foreign dynasty, who bent Caesar and Antony to your cause, who dared to stand against Rome at its height. You were the mother who dreamed of dynasties, the ruler who fed her people, the woman who chose her own death rather than suffer chains. Cleopatra, daughter of the Nile, last of the pharaohs. Your kingdom may be gone, but your image endures, on temple walls, in scrolls of history, in the imaginations of empires yet unborn. You are not forgotten. You are eternal. And as long as the Nile flows, so too will the memory of Cleopatra, Queen of the Nile. The halls of Alexandria glow with torchlight. Musicians play, laughter echoes, and wine flows like the Nile in flood. You sit at the center, Cleopatra, robed in gold, a crown of cobras gleaming upon your brow. Beside you sits Mark Antony, broad-shouldered, brash, loud with his jokes and louder with his ambition. To your people, you are Isis and Dionysus reborn, divine consorts ruling not as mortals but as gods. The world calls it the inimitable livers, a society of feasting and revelry. Nights blur with banquets, games, and wagers where fortunes are lost and won in an instant. Antony laughs louder than all, his hand heavy on your shoulder, his eyes lit with admiration. Yet beneath the feasts lies something sharper, alliance. Every banquet is a stage, every toast a declaration. You are not simply lovers, you are partners building an empire within an empire. Together you have children, Alexander Helios, Cleopatra Selene, and little Ptolemy Philadelphus. Each birth strengthens your dynasty, tying Egypt's future to Rome's blood. With Caesarion already heir, your house flourishes like the lotus after rain. You see in their faces a new legacy, one that might outlast Rome itself. But across the sea, in Rome, Octavian seethes. He watches from the shadows, cold and calculating, as Antony drifts further from him and deeper into your arms. He spreads his venom with precision. In the Senate, he declares Antony bewitched, enslaved by an Eastern queen who dares to call herself a goddess. He whispers that Antony has abandoned his Roman wife, Octavian's own sister, Octavia, for you. What better proof, he says, that Antony no longer serves Rome but Egypt? At first, Antony shrugs off the slander. Let them talk, he roars in your marble halls. Words are wind, we hold the gold, the ships, the armies. And he is not wrong. From Alexandria you fund his campaigns. With your fleets he challenges Parthia. With your riches he pays his legions. Together you rule not merely Egypt but much of the eastern Mediterranean. In 34 BCE you stage the donations of Alexandria. Before the people seated upon golden thrones, you and Antony crown your children rulers of kingdoms, yet unconquered. Caesarion you name King of Kings, rightful heir of Caesar. Alexander Helios is given Armenia. Cleopatra Selene receives Cyrene. Ptolemy Philadelphus claims Syria. It is spectacle, but also declaration. Egypt and Antony do not bow to Rome. They rival it. The Senate recoils in outrage. Octavian seizes his chance. With ruthless precision, he fans every ember of fear. He spreads word that you plan to move the capital of the world from Rome to Alexandria, that Antony, drunk on your enchantments, has given Roman lands to foreign children. That Caesarion, your son, threatens Octavian's own claim as heir to Caesar. In every whisper he paints you as the true enemy. Not Antony, but Cleopatra, the serpent of the Nile, the eastern temptress, the queen who would steal Rome's destiny. And Rome listens. Octavian declares war, not on Antony, not openly, but on you. The Senate votes, banners are raised, and legions march once more. Antony, bound by love and by pride, cannot abandon you. He gathers his fleets, his soldiers, his loyalty to Rome now a thread cut clean. The year is 31 BCE. You and Antony sail together, your ships vast, your sails purple, your prows gilded with gold. Against you comes Octavian, colder, hungrier, armed with propaganda and steel. At Actium on the coast of Greece, the two worlds collide. The sea shimmers with hundreds of ships, the air thick with smoke and salt. Oars beat like thunder, trumpets scream. The clash begins. For hours the battle rages, ships ramming, soldiers leaping, fire spreading across the waves. You watch from your flagship, eyes steady. You know what this moment means, not just for Antony, not just for you, but for Egypt itself. But as the tide turns, chaos grips the sea. Octavian's fleet presses harder. His admirals cut through your lines. Smoke blinds the horizon. And then, at the heart of it all, a desperate choice. Your flagship, still intact, turns. The sails fill with wind, and you break from the melee, fleeing south. Antony, seeing your departure, abandons his fleet to follow. The decision seals your fate. Behind you, your navy crumbles. Ships burn, soldiers drown, legions surrender. Actium is lost. Back in Alexandria, silence hangs heavy. The city still shines, still bustles, but in every shadow lies dread. Octavian advances. Antony broods, his laughter gone, his pride cracked. The world no longer whispers of Antony the conqueror, but Antony the traitor. And you? You remain unyielding. You know the truth. The Nile has survived famine, plague, invasion. Perhaps it will survive Rome too. You will not kneel, not yet. But deep inside, you feel it, the tightening coil of destiny. The gods have given you love, children, power, but they demand payment in return. The storm approaches, and when it breaks, it will wash away everything you have built.